Today on the Transplant Hub, we're going to be discussing a subject I've considered addressing on this program many a times, but just hadn't gotten around to it. That is getting the call. What do you need to know about it? How do you handle that situation? Really, what do you do in general when that call that we all anticipate comes in? Stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome to the Transplant Helper. My name is Jim Burrell. Far and away, when I sit down with patients on a one-on-one basis, like I like to do on occasion, I'm always asked some questions around the idea of getting the call. You know, the call, that is the call that an organ is on the other end of the line waiting on you to potentially save your life and or give you a new lease or opportunity at life. And people are always concerned about, they're always wondering different aspects of what is involved in getting the call, from when the call might come in to when, if it does, how should I react to that, all the way down the line to what should I carry to the hospital. I'm asked those questions all the time. Now, as far as I can tell, I hadn't addressed that on this particular program yet, so I thought today was the perfect opportunity to go out and do that. Let me thank all of you who have already subscribed to this channel. Let me ask you this: if you're not already subscribed, right now is the perfect opportunity to subscribe, as well as hit the little bell notification right next to that, so you'll be notified when new programs come out and you can continue to be a part of our community together. Now, that's all the things I need to say about that. Let's jump right into our discussion concerning getting the call. Number one, I want to talk to you today about the situations. And first of all, I want to say about that, everybody's situation is different. It matters an awful lot how sick you are, where you are on the list. A lot of things come into play when it comes to getting that call. I've already had programs just a few weeks ago about the transplant status listing system. That's a good one to pause and watch right now if you hadn't already seen that, just to understand about that list, maybe how long your wait times might be, that sort of thing. Although I warn you, I don't have any definitive answers on that, only some suggestions. But wait times vary, therefore situations are going to vary. But one of the things that seems to be somewhat universal among most of us is that most of us are going to experience a false alarm or two, or some missed opportunity or two. That is where we get the call, we need to come in for transplant, we need to be at the hospital in so many hours, so much time. But then once we get there and find out the organ's not for us. Now that comes up for a lot of different reasons. It may be the matches weren't what they hoped it would be. It may be the organs weren't as viable or healthy as they wanted to be. Or it may just be that somebody down the road from you is in a worse situation than you are. Therefore, they were a valid recipient, or a valid candidate, a better candidate, I should say, to get that organ. That's good. We always need to be looking out for the guy next to us, praying for the person down the hall, and wanting all of us universally to get transplanted in our time. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we kind of, we want that for ourselves too. I don't think that's too far outside of being selfish, but we need to understand when it comes to getting the call itself, everybody's situation is going to be different. Now, in addition to that, people want to know not just about the situations, but about the sentiments. And I use the word sentiments there, just a tool to remember, but I'm talking about the emotions of it. How does it feel to get the call? What type of emotions flow through my mind when and if that call comes in and I might have an opportunity to transplant? Again, that's something we discussed already on the program at length when we're talking about just a few weeks before this, even the emotional experience. I'll insert the link to that program also. But basically, all it boils down to is we're going to experience the call, if you will, much differently. Albeit, many of the emotions are going to be kind of balled into one, put into one lump in how we deal with things. For example, most of us, when we get the call, there's going to be a level of excitement. Most of us, there's going to be a level of happiness. Most of us, there's going to be a level of joy. But in with those three positive emotions, there are going to be a lot of other emotions that come in, from grief to sadness, especially to fear or apprehensiveness or anxiety. All those things come in, and those sentiments are pretty much universal among us as transplant patients. Now, certainly we've been awaiting that call, some of us for longer periods of time than others. Certainly we are excited about it to an extent and on a certain level, but at the same time, we have to understand there are going to be varied emotions, and those emotions have to be dealt with at the time and in their time. So when we consider the sentiments, there again, they're somewhat different. However, it's always good to be aware that is the case. So we think about that and getting the call. Yeah, that's a little bit different. Then we talk about, and this is something that's more universal, and that is the standards. Now, I don't know exactly what the protocol is for your transplant center, but I can say universally and as a whole, most transplant centers make it a practice, depending on the organs and the situation, obviously, and the need in that transplant section of the country, whatever it is, division. Most transplant centers choose to call in a patient or two or even maybe three patients every time an organ comes up. And they're obviously going to choose you by the 2 or 3 best candidates, but you may find out if you get that call and you get down to the local transplant center, you may find out that you are not the only one there waiting on that organ. As a matter of fact, I heard of a situation just a few weeks ago where 3 different patients were kind of sitting in more or less a registration room, what do you call it? But anyway, they were getting signed into the hospital. None of them knew that they were there for a new organ. None of them knew what the situation was. But as they began to get brought down in wheelchairs down to that particular transplant floor, in this case it was a heart floor, as they were pushed and rolled down that transplant hall, they began to notice, hey, he's here and she's here and he's here. I wonder if we're here for the same reason. And they ultimately found out, yes, they were. They were all there kind of vying for, going for that same heart that had come in. And of course, and as it turned out, none of them got it that particular day because the organ, the heart, did not turn out being viable. But nonetheless, it's kind of a standard procedure to bring in several patients. And when they bring you in, you're one of a few patients, and they're going to continue to narrow the things down, funnel those things down, and try to make a decision as to who would be the best candidate, not only to survive the surgery, but to live the most fulfilling life post-transplant. And they're basing that, again, on need, on where you are on the list, all of that. But you very well may be there with other people. Another thing that's kind of a standard, and I know this is hard to consider, but that is once you're called in, you get the call, come on into the transplant center, get down here to the hospital, be ready, whatever. Once you get that call, a lot of times you get very, very little information for long periods of time. And I know the first heart that I missed one, got one, obviously got one, but the heart that I missed, I don't remember. I think there was like 12 or 14 hours or more that passed in between the time of hearing, hey, there's a potential heart here for you or availability coming up, until I finally got it's a no-go. That heart's not for you. And I remember thinking to myself, why are they not telling me something? Why are they not updating me more? Why are they not giving me more information? Now, that may be different. You may have a certain doctor who handles things differently, a coordinator, nurses on the floor. Sometimes people let things slip, but in general, you're going to get very, very little information. You won't know anything about the donor. You won't know how the process is coming, or they may duck their head in and say, so far, so good, that sort of thing. You just won't get a lot of information. That's kind of a standard. So I just want to tell you that so you'll expect it, so you won't be disappointed if you get called in and you hear nothing for hours upon hours. And then when you finally do hear something, maybe it is or it's not the news that you were hoping for. But that's the way things are. Now, in the last category of this, and this is something I try to answer every time, people always ask, what about the supplies? What do I need to pack? What do I need to bring to the hospital? I've seen people have 2 and 3 suitcases, look like they're going on a trip around the world to come down for a potential offer to be at the hospital that day. Well, let me just advise you in this, and this is lessons learned the hard way, okay? I know this from my experience. I know it from the experience of others. In general, I encourage patients, don't overdo it. You don't have to carry 5 sets of clothes and 3 sets of pajamas and 2 pairs of shoes and all this stuff. You don't have to bring that down to the hospital if you're a candidate for transplant. You say, well, Jim, why is that? Well, basically, and I'll just put it plain like it is, you're going to go down there, they're going to change you in their hospital gowns or whatever that is, and you're going to remain in that for a number of days. You're going to go in for surgery potentially. You come out of surgery, you're going to be in different CICUs or different intensive care type units, then on step down floors, and all the while they're going to be expecting you for at least the first part of that to wear their gowns, to wear their clothes and not your own. So there's really no need in that first rush to the hospital to bring everything in the kitchen sink with you when you come. You're not going to need 3 or 4 pair of tennis shoes or a pair of dress shoes. You won't need any of that. As a matter of fact, I generally advise people to mainly bring them maybe 1 set of clothes, a few change of undergarments, that sort of thing. And then to basically after that, focus on bath type supplies. And again, nail polish and makeup, that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about basic supplies that you would use in the bathroom, especially toothbrushes, toothpaste, mouthwash, that sort of thing. Or in addition to that, bring comfort items. Bring things that make you feel comfortable, that make you feel at home. You may not get to use it for a day or two, but bring your favorite pillow, bring your blankie, that sort of thing. Bring things that are personal to you, things that are going to make the situation more comfortable and for all intents and purposes, make you feel more at home while you're there. That's the best things to pack. Don't overdo it. Don't bring too much. You won't have anywhere to store it. Your family's going to end up dragging it around trying to keep up with it, and you won't be able to use it at least for the first week or 2 or 3. So you may as well pack light, and that's what I encourage people to do. So I hope some of this information has helped you. I know I hadn't been really in depth with that. I'm trying to make things short, quick, and snappy, but as far as situations goes, everybody's different. As far as the sentiments, there's a ball of emotions that comes in. See the previous programs for better information on that. As far as the standards, yeah, they're probably going to call in 2 or 3, and you'll get limited information. And as far as what you pack light, and you'll be better off. I hope this information has helped you. Again, if it has, how about like, subscribe, share, and then even comment below. Some of you have already been through the process like I have. Tell me about what it was like the day that you got the call. What types of things went on in your mind, what you did concerning these categories I've listed. If you're a pre-transplant patient, maybe this has just helped you in a very small way. Again, thank you very much for being with me today. And as I say, always, without a doubt, stay stronger, friends.